Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good night. My name is Nadia. This is my YouTube channel. I sometimes like to post some random videos here talking about economics, talking about my favorite books, talking about my daily routine. So yeah, nothing specifically, but everything about me and my opinion, whatever I'm reading or studying or just doing. And today I just want to record this video because I just finished it actually reading the article from Stephen Marin regarding the restructuring of the global trading. And I don't know, I just want to lift some thoughts about it and actually give a review of everything that I was reading. And yeah, Stephen Marin, he's an economist and he's currently working with Trump, and he's part of the chair of what is it called, of Council of Economic Advisors, and he wrote it before he was promoted to this position. And basically here he started talking about Trump's tariff and what is the idea behind it. So basically Trump has many times complained about how the manufacturing industry in the United States has been jeopardized by mainly by China, and also by the fact that the US currency is overvalued, and it's a really deep problem in United States because since their currency is the foreign currency reserve, they the currency is naturally overvalued, right? And it makes a huge problem in the economy because they are, since their currency is stronger, they are importing many products because it's cheaper for Americans to import many products, right? But they're exporting more and more less products due to the fact that their currency are very expensive, so it's more expensive for people buy from US, right? And it has made the manufacturing industry and other industries in the United States, but here he mentioned specifically about the manufacturing industry to reduce its production during the years, mainly after China enjoys the international economic trade. And so he complains about it, and also he complains about national security. I think Trump has many times mentioned about national security in United States, the fact that they don't produce too much products, they are importing. I mean, they produce a lot of industrialized products, of course, but still they import a lot of products, mainly from China and Canada, of course, and Mexico. But he explains that if the US is not prepared for producing its own products, and in the future they have some problems with China, for instance, and then they stop buying from China, they might have some national security problems, literally, because they don't produce that those products that they're importing from China and other countries, right? So yeah. And then also he says about the China's abuse of international trade, and that's very, very interesting because what he explains here is that when you are have a strong amount of export, when your country is exporting a lot of products, they are receiving the foreign currency, right? And then once they receive the foreign currency, eventually they have to sell those currencies. And when the country sells the foreign currency, they are buying their domestic currency, which makes the value of the domestic currency increase, and eventually exports being more expensive for whom is importing, so makes with supply your balance of payments be in equilibrium, right? Because then now, because your currency price increased after you sell those foreign currencies, then you are exporting less. That's how usually it works, right? So it's like a cycle. And what happens is that China, it doesn't happen with China. So that's why here he says about China's abuse of the international trade, and there is no clarity about it. And yeah, those are some of the complaints that Trump has made about it and that Stefan's raised here. And also he says that in 2018 and 2019 they imposed those tariffs for China 10%, and it didn't have like a strong impact in the macroeconomy of US. So technically they are expecting it to happen the same as long as it works as they are planning. And here that's what Stephens explains, that in terms of the tariff. So just to finish this part, so Stephens explained that the tariffs are being imposed because United States has a very strong currency due to United States being the US has the world reserve currency, right? Because they have a very strong currency, it's easier to import products, right? So because you have a strong currency, you can buy more, you can import more, but then it's more expensive to foreigners to buy from your country. So you're exporting less, and it makes with your balance of payments be in debt instead of a surplus. And then he explains that it because of this, the production in the United States has decreased, mainly the manufacturing industry. If you see the graph, you're going to see that during the years the production has decreased, the jobs in the manufacturing industry has decreased severely. And yeah, so the idea of the tariff, it is to add the tariff, so then number one, US is going to receive revenues for those tariffs, right? So the country that it is exporting to US will have to pay fees or taxes, whatever you call it, and those amounts, those fees or taxes, they will be a new revenue for US, and it can be helpful to pay the debts from US. And then another thing that he explains that is that those tariffs shouldn't impact the macroeconomy of the country as long as they make it slowly, and the country who is being imposed the tariff doesn't put back another tariff. And he also explains that it shouldn't have an impact in the macroeconomy, mainly because when US is imposing a tariff to the exports, to the imports to the country that it is paying the tariff, the country that it is being penalized, it is tend to decrease the value of their currency, making US currency stronger. So it kind of offset the currency, and then for this reason they shouldn't have problem with inflation, for example. So the only problem here is that, remember when we were talking about US currency being a very strong currency, which impact the production, the balance of payments of the country. And yeah, when you impose those tariffs, you're expecting that US currency be even stronger. And then he has another advice, another proposal, which it is okay, just another thing. When Trump is imposing those tariffs, it's also a way, as you guys saw, of negotiating with other countries. So for example, with Mexico, with Canada, they were negotiating in terms of putting more security to the borders, so then people do not cross the border illegally, right? Or then they were having a lot of problems with opioids and drugs, so it's another reason for them to increase the security. So it's like a way of negotiate with other countries. Okay, so I talked about the current offset, And also in 2018 and 2019, Trump administration imposed a 10% of tariff to China, and it worked. According to them, there wasn't a bad effect in the macroeconomy. Actually, inflation was controlled, so he uses this argument as well. And I mentioned it, right? What else I have here? Okay, and tariffs can also raise revenue, which can be used to reduce its country debt. I think I talked about it as well. And then another proposal, it is after they make the agreements regarding the tariffs, then they go to the Mar-a-Lago agreement, which this part is interesting. So remember that I mentioned that US currency is very expensive. When they are imposing those tariffs, they are overvaluing this currency even more, making it even stronger. But now they want to make it weaker. They want to make their currency undervalued, so now they can export more products, so it would be cheaper for whom is buying from US. And then how they will do it, the idea here it is to go to a multilateral agreement with other countries to ask them to sell their foreign currencies in order to buy their domestic currency, because when they do it, they are gonna lift the value of their domestic currency, and this is gonna make US currency cheaper, right? So this is the idea here, the Mar-a-Lago. So after the tariffs, this is the proposal Stefan is suggesting here. And yeah, but this is a multilateral agreement. He would have to talk to all the countries, all the main countries that they are dealing trading. And yeah, so a reduction in the value of US, as I mentioned before, will increase the production in United States, will increase the jobs in manufacturing industry, will make the country less dependent of other countries, mainly from China. And then here's the funny part. Stefan is also suggesting a unilateral currency approach. And then this one he's suggesting if countries do not agree on selling their foreign currency in order to lift the domestic currency, to overvalue the domestic currency, the suggestion here it is through the International Emergency Economic Power Act, US can suggest to impose a fee on foreign official holders of treasury securities. So in other words, US could suggest a fee, a tax, whatever you call it, for whom wanna invest in US, whom will wanna buy bonds in US, right? And then this is another suggestion in order to stop the demand for US currency, and then making its currency weaker, and then having the opportunity to export more to other countries and improving their production in the US. I think this one is very unlikely. It would be a very terrible situation for the economy in general, and melting the stock market, because it would increase the yields of bonds. So many investors, they would move from the stock market to the fixed market, mainly because it's safer, and of course yields would increase. But I think here is interesting because he says that the price of the bonds may be inelastic, because, and that's very interesting, because he says that because the US currency is so strong that investors, they sometimes don't pay attention, they don't pay so much attention to the price of those bonds, for example, those assets, because it's inelastic to the price, so it doesn't matter the price. because mainly because it's US economy, it's a very liquid economy, a very safe economy, even though they hold the world's reserve currency, so many reasons. And yes, guys, so basically this is what I read in this article, and I believe I talked about everything I want to talk to you. So yeah, I hope you guys can have some thoughts about it. I think we saw the market, and this is something that he also highlights in this article. Stefan, he says that doing that, it's gonna hurt mainly in the short term, it's gonna hurt mainly the welfare community, those wealth people, mainly because the market, the stock market, the securities market, it should have a lot of volatility during this period, and this is exactly what we saw since Trump mentioned about those tariffs. Then we saw so much volatility in the market. That's very, very stressful, and for investors, of course, so their investors fear just increase. And in fact, that's what happened. And then if you check the returns from investments from the stock market, for example, or even the fixed income 2018, you can see in 2018 the return for most of them was negative, and one of the reasons was those tariffs that started in the Trump's administration against China. So yeah, I guess that's very tricky moment, very stressful for all of us, because as he mentioned, in the short term, that's very stressful, very tricky. I'm always very suspicious and not very comfortable when we have so much government intervention as we are seeing now, and that's why I feel so suspicious about all this situation. And I think more intervention you have from the government, more you are jeopardizing our economy. And yeah, so let's see what's gonna happen. I'll eventually come with my opinions in future videos, but yeah, I just wanna today give some review about this article. I hope you guys enjoy it. Again, I'm sorry for my English mistakes. I'm sorry if sometimes I repeated some information. I'm trying to record those videos to give you some feedbacks from whatever I'm reading, but being very honest with you, mainly for myself, to improve my English and to improve my dictation and to develop my brain, to help me to organize my ideas. And yeah, so I hope you guys like it, and see you in another video. Bye bye.